What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. This is part 2 of the Joe Budden versus Charlamagne beef / contract negotiation / perception of deals / ownership / employee / employer. Part 1 was on Endgame. So if you haven't seen that, please go check the Endgame video out. So part 2 is on value and how you value yourself in the marketplace. And obviously we're using Joe Budden and Charlamagne as the case study, but you can apply these tools to any industry. And let me note, make it clear that this is more art than science in a lot of ways, but you have to know the data and you have to know what's the industry standard and you have to know what you bring to the table. And the way that you learn that type of stuff is through research. So you have to research what people are making in your field and what people are making with your type of credentials, what people are making with your achievement. And then you start from there. And then once you step in the building, whether it's an owner or as an employee, you know what your negotiation, you know what your base level is. So I think the easiest one is the Joe Budden Spotify analysis. And I'm gonna do that and get that out the way and talk about Charlamagne in Power 105, because that's the more nuanced discussion. That is the one that has the most teachable moments in my head. So the reason why I think Joe Budden and Spotify is easier because Joe Budden owns his podcast, right? So he's approaching, he knows his value, he knows his numbers, they know their numbers. So at this point, he's not an employee. So he already had a following before he got to Spotify. He was already somebody before he got to Spotify. So his valuation, he knows it, and Spotify know what they bring to the table. So apparently they couldn't come to an agreement, and I'm assuming it's because, well, Joe specifically said they wanted too much. They offered him more money, but they also wanted basically a 360 deal, and I could talk about that on another video. But at the end of the day, they didn't get it done, and now he's leaving Spotify. So moving on to Charlamagne and the Breakfast Club. Charlamagne is a little bit more nuanced. Thus, I'm gonna break it down based on when he started to when he does what he's doing now. So in my mind, at the start of his deal, being on Power 105 was more valuable to Charlamagne than it is now, and I could be completely wrong. Meaning that the opportunity was greater than the money at that point, right? Meaning they was going to put him on the number one market in the U.S. He's in a number one market in the U.S. So how much was that worth to him? I'm pretty sure, but I'm not positive because I don't know the man, but I'm pretty sure. And I'm willing to bet that if you ask Charlamagne, how much would he have taken to do the Breakfast Club initially, just to have the opportunity? What was the least amount of money that they could have paid him to do that show? I'm pretty sure he would have said he would have did it for free because of the opportunity. So in 2020, we're not talking about Charlamagne of 2010 or whenever he got into the Breakfast Club. Like he's a totally different individual. He's on a different level now. He's way more famous. He has way more projects on out there. He has way more opportunities out there than he did when he first got there. So at this point, for him, the value in Power 105, the iHeart system, is different than when he first got there. Meaning, at this point, his time may be more valuable than the money. Well, all our time is more valuable than money, but his time may be more valuable than the opportunity that iHeart presents him. Let me put it that way. Meaning that, say it takes him 5-6 hours, just say five hours, that keeps numbers easy. 20 hours a week to create the morning show. It's probably more than that. Just say 20 hours a week to create the morning show. So how much is those 20 hours worth to him in opportunity cost? And again, it's more art than science, because there is still value in talking to millions of people every morning. There's still value in having, it being introduced as Charlamagne the God on Power 105. There still is value in having access to people like Joe Biden, because you're on New York radio. He almost has to come to you. There are some people that has to come through you to tap that audience, because you are the number one. I don't know if he's the number one, but you are in the number one market on radio or morning radio. So at a certain point for Charlamagne and his team, it's not going to, the iHeart Power 105 machine is not going to be as valuable to him at a certain point. So it's not going to be worth the opportunity cost at a certain dollar amount. So say he knows that the 20 hours that he's putting into Power 105, the 20 hours a week that he can be working on his own podcast, right? And he knows that he has the data from the brilliant idiots that, he reaches this amount of many people. If he does this, does that, he knows he's going to tap in that. He's going to get this sponsorship. He's going to get that sponsorship, and it's going to be that type of money. So that is probably his baseline. So keep the number simple again. So say that baseline is 10 million. So anything below 10 million is probably not going to be worth Charlamagne signing the deal to iHeart, because he knows that he can get 10 million on his own and more. So what does all of this have to do with you in your life, and your career, your business, your negotiation? One, you have to know your value, and you have to become more valuable. So to know your value, you have to do some research, right? What are people making in your industry, right? What are people making with your degrees, right? What are people making with the achievements that you have achieved? Right, and then you continue to add on more value. So maybe you're a lawyer, but you also know you're a connector. How much is that worth? And I bring that example up because, one, I'm a lawyer, but also I was listening to the Master P interview he did with the Breakfast Club, and he said that he sat down with Michael Jackson's lawyer, and he paid him $25,000, and he made it seem like it was an hour of consultation. It didn't seem like it was an ongoing conversation. So in my head, I don't charge $25,000 an hour. So in my head, I'm thinking of what skill set, who I need to know, what I need to do to demand that type of money. If that was my end game, that's not necessarily my end game, but that's how you break it down. So whatever your number is in your industry, whatever you want to make at your job, how do you become more valuable so people pay you that money and not think twice about it? That is one lesson. The second lesson is that it may be worth taking less money for the opportunity. Meaning, a lot of the money that Charlamagne will make is because he was on Power 105. He may have been underpaid, but he's getting more money on the back end. So that requires you to have to have strategic thinking and long-term thinking. So what are you trying to be in 5 years from now, right? And a lot of times it's the money aspect of it. We get caught up in the money and want to take the most money in the beginning. We just leave opportunity that will make us more money down the road on the table because we're trying to take the most money up front. And we know and where our pride gets in the way, and we know that we're underpaid, but we're overlooking everything that this thing that we're taking on is going to put into place for us to make more money and generate more income and be connected to more people in the future because we're focused so much on the money. I think those are the two main things. And again, the next one is going to be on what I said the next one was going to be. Oh, negotiation. So again, there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to Charlamagne approach, and there is a wrong approach. There's no right approach when it comes to Charlamagne, and there's no right approach when it comes to Joe Budden, whether you're a business owner or an employee someplace. It all depends on what's your end game. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I hope that is the thing that sticks out more than anything. It's just having that strategic thinking, and it's not necessarily science. It's more art. So if you're liking this content, please like, share, and review it, and comment so I can get better. Somebody said I talked too much on the other one, so I took note of that and shortened things out and went to the point. So yeah, man, and stay tuned for the next lecture.